Welcome back, everybody, for another deep dive. This time we're tackling the open source AI revolution.
Yeah, lots to talk about here.
There really is, it's kind of like, it feels like we're at this point where anybody with an internet connection could have access to the same AI that used to be, kind of locked away in the labs of these giants, like an open AI.
Yeah, it is a huge shift. I mean, we're talking about the democratization of AI.
Yeah.
And with it, new players emerging. Like we have DeepSeek, this Chinese startup that's really been making waves, and then AI too, a nonprofit research group.
Yeah, and it's interesting to me how these new players, they're not just playing catch up. They're developing some incredibly sophisticated AI models that are, in some cases surpassing the big players in certain areas.
Yeah.
One of the things that I was reading about with DeepSeek was this idea of a fast follower strategy. Can you kind of explain what that is and how it's working for them?
Yeah, so fast follower basically means that they're learning from the pioneers, right?
Okay.
Like your open AI.
Yeah.
But instead of spending, years and just small fortunes on basic research,
right,
they're really kind of adapting existing technologies and focusing on rapid development and deployment.
Okay.
And it's proven to be remarkably cost effective.
So they're kind of leveraging that groundwork laid by others and then just kind of leaping ahead.
Exactly.
In certain areas. I mean, that's pretty clever.
Yeah, it's a smart strategy for sure.
So then you have AI too, right?
Yes.
Stepping into this arena, and they've released something called TÜLU 3, right?
Yes, TÜLU 3, and it's turning heads.
Okay.
This is a 405 billion parameter open source AI model.
Okay, so and for our listeners, just to put that in perspective, 405 billion parameters. I mean, that is
think of it as a vast network with 405 billion connections, all contributing to this model's ability to process information, generate responses.
Okay.
Now it's a direct competitor to GPT-4 and DeepSeek's V3, but with a crucial difference. It's completely open source.
So anybody can, tinker with it, improve it, use it for their own projects.
That's the idea, yeah.
I mean, that sounds like that could be a real game changer.
It has the potential. I mean, think about it.
Yeah.
Anyone from researchers to small startups can modify this powerful AI.
Right.
It removes that barrier to entry that these expensive proprietary models, create.
But would that lead to more fragmentation?
Potentially, yeah.
So instead of having these few dominant AI models, you have this kind of almost like a Wild West
That's possible, yeah.
of specialized models.
We might see models that are tailored for specific industries or research fields or even artistic expressions.
Yeah.
It's hard to say, but it's definitely, it could lead to this just explosion of creativity and innovation in how AI is applied.
So you've got DeepSeek kind of doing this fast follower approach, and then you've got AI too really championing this open source accessibility.
Right.
So it seems like the AI landscape is becoming
It's much more diverse.
a lot more diverse and competitive.
And the implications extend, beyond just the tech industry. I mean, we're seeing a global AI race heating up, particularly between the U.S. and China.
Right.
And then you have the EU kind of trying to find its own path in all of this.
And that leads into DeepSeek's decision to make its model open source.
Yeah.
I mean, what are kind of the ramifications of that, especially coming from, a Chinese company?
It's a bold move, and it's really generating a lot of discussion.
Yeah.
On the one hand, you could say it expands DeepSeek's reach and influence significantly.
Right.
But on the other hand, it raises concerns about control and potential misuse.
Well, yeah, I mean, it is a powerful technology.
Right.
And making it widely available, even if you have good intentions. I mean, there's inherent risks there.
Yeah.
And speaking of risk, I mean, one of the areas where this is becoming really apparent is in warfare.
Yeah.
We're seeing AI being integrated into military operations at an accelerating pace.
It's no longer a hypothetical scenario.
Right.
I mean, this is a reality, and we're seeing it play out in conflicts like the one in Ukraine, where both sides are leveraging AI. For tactical advantage.
And it's not just about, drones and autonomous weapon systems, right?
Yeah.
It's AI being used for intelligence analysis, targeting, potentially even influencing the course of battles.
And as it becomes more sophisticated and integrated into these military systems, we need to be having some serious conversations about the rules of engagement, the potential for escalation, and the long-term consequences of this technological shift.
I mean, it's a heavy topic.
Yeah, it is.
But an essential one, because we're essentially witnessing this new era of warfare kind of emerging. And the stakes are incredibly high.
They are incredibly high, but it's not just about, geopolitical rivalries and military applications.
Right.
Open source AI also has the potential to revolutionize industries, to accelerate scientific discovery, and even change the way we live and work on a daily basis.
So we're dealing with this technology that's incredibly powerful, potentially transformative, but also, fraught with challenges and risks.
And I think one of the most pressing questions we need to grapple with is who will ultimately control this technology?
Right. Will it be a handful of tech giants or nation states, or is it going to be more decentralized thanks to these open source initiatives?
One of the experts we were looking at believes that while the U.S. currently has an edge, that the unpredictable nature of technology means that we can't rule out surprises.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely a dynamic and rapidly evolving landscape.
Very much so.
Open source AI is undoubtedly disrupting the status quo.
Yeah.
Challenging these traditional power structures.
Yeah.
And forcing us to rethink how we develop, how we use, and how we regulate this transformative technology.
Couldn't have said it better myself. Yeah, no question about it. It's a complex landscape.
Right.
But as with any kind of revolutionary technology, open source AI has its own set of challenges.
Right, because it can't be all roses.
Right.
I mean, we've talked about the potential benefits of democratizing access to this, but what about the potential downsides?
Well, one of the biggest concerns, I think, is the potential for misuse.
Right.
I mean, when anyone can modify these models, it raises this possibility of someone tweaking them for malicious purposes.
Right. So using them to generate, like convincing misinformation or creating deep fakes that can be used to, manipulate public opinion or sow discord.
Yeah. I mean, those are just a couple of examples. There are also concerns about these powerful AI models being used for things like cyber attacks.
Yeah.
Or even to automate more traditional crimes,
So it's a sobering thought. And it's not just about, intentional misuse. It's what about the potential for unintended consequences?
Right.
Because these models are trained on massive amounts of data, right?
Huge amounts of data. And the quality and the representativeness of that data play a huge role in how the AI behaves.
Right.
So if the data itself is flawed or biased, the AI is going to inherit those flaws.
Okay.
And that can potentially lead to unfair or discriminatory outcomes.
So even with the best of intentions, if the data is skewed, the AI could end up perpetuating those, existing biases or inequalities.
That's right. And that ties into another challenge, which is data privacy.
Right.
These models require vast amounts of data to function, and ensuring the privacy and security of that data is paramount, especially in an open source environment where access is much broader.
So it really seems like a constant balancing act.
It is.
Trying to, promote innovation and access, while also kind of safeguarding against these potential harms.
That's the tightrope we're walking.
Feels like there's a lot riding on how we as a society kind of choose to navigate this.
Absolutely. The decisions we make now regarding the development and deployment of open source AI are going to have far-reaching consequences, but let's not forget about the immense opportunities here.
Right. We don't want to get lost in the doom and gloom here.
Right.
One of the things that I think is so exciting about this is how, like TÜLU 3's affordability and scalability could really open up AI-driven innovation across such a wide range of sectors.
It's like giving this powerful set of tools to anyone with an internet connection. I mean, imagine the potential for advancements in healthcare, more personalized education, accelerating scientific discoveries. It's really quite remarkable.
And one of the sources that we were looking at even suggested that open source AI could lead to a more specialized AI market, where models are finely tuned for very specific purposes.
Instead of this one-size-fits-all approach, we could see models designed for specific industries, research fields,
right?
Even artistic endeavors.
Almost like kind of like the early days of the internet, you know, where people were skeptical at first, but then it just exploded with creativity and innovation because
it was accessible.
It was accessible.
That's a great analogy. Yeah,
and open source AI has that potential to be just as transformative, if not more so.
Yeah. And as we kind of navigate these challenges and opportunities, it's important to remember that this isn't just about technology.
Right.
This is about people.
It's about how we use this powerful tool to better our lives,
exactly,
to solve problems, to create new possibilities.
And that brings us to a critical point, I think, which is if open source AI is truly going to reach its full potential, we need to think globally.
So no single country or corporation can kind of solve these challenges alone. We need
international cooperation.
Right, we need international cooperation.
We need to establish, shared frameworks for responsible AI development, data privacy standards, mechanisms for accountability.
It sounds like a daunting task.
It is a daunting task.
But also incredibly exciting.
It is exciting.
I mean, we're literally at the forefront of shaping a technology that could redefine what it means to be human.
Yeah, and that brings us back to the question we posed earlier, you know, who will ultimately control this technology?
Yeah.
And I think the answer may lie in finding a balance between, the open source movement and responsible regulation.
So harnessing the power of that open access, but also putting safeguards in place
to prevent its misuse.
The misuse.
Yeah, it's a complex puzzle. There's no easy answers, but the stakes are incredibly high.
Right.
And the choices we make today are really going to have far-reaching consequences.
This conversation has given me a lot to think about.
Me too.
But before we kind of get too lost in the big picture, let's kind of bring it back to our listeners.
Yeah.
How might this open source AI revolution impact your everyday life?
And that's what we'll explore as we wrap up this deep dive. We've covered a lot of ground in this deep dive. I mean, from the rise of DeepSeek and TÜLU 3 to the global AI race and even the implications for warfare.
It's definitely complex, rapidly evolving landscape.
Yeah.
And I think as we wrap things up, it's crucial to kind of bring it all back to a personal level.
Yeah.
How might this open source AI revolution actually impact?
Right. What does it mean for
your everyday life?
For me, for the listener.
Yeah, sure.
For the average person. I mean, we've talked about kind of this big picture.
Yeah.
But how will these advancements in AI actually touch the lives of everyday people?
I think one way to think about it is as AI becomes more accessible, more affordable, thanks in part to these open source models, we're going to see it integrated into more and more of the products and services that we use daily.
So kind of like how we rely on the internet for almost everything now.
Exactly.
Is AI going to become that?
I think it very well could, yeah.
Ubiquitous.
Think about personalized learning apps that adapt to your individual learning style.
Right.
Or healthcare tools that can analyze your health data and offer proactive recommendations.
So it's really going to be tailored to the individual.
Exactly. Yeah.
And what about things like, creative tools? I mean, could this help me, write music or design my dream home? All of that. Yeah.
I mean, generate art. I mean,
AI could become as commonplace as smartphones are today, enhancing and in some cases completely transforming how we live, how we work.
That's both really exciting and a little bit daunting.
It is.
And
I think it really underscores the importance of what we might call AI literacy.
AI literacy.
As AI becomes more pervasive, understanding how these systems work, understanding their limitations, understanding their potential impact, I mean, that's going to be crucial.
So it's not just about kind of like learning how to use these new AI-powered tools.
Right.
It's about understanding...
understanding the technology behind them.
Okay, the technology behind them.
Being able to critically evaluate the information that you're presented with, especially when it's generated or filtered by AI.
So almost like it's like a new kind of digital literacy.
It is, yeah.
Emerging where we need to be even more discerning and critical of the information that we encounter online.
And it also means, thinking about the ethical implications of how we use AI in our own lives. What are the boundaries we should set for ourselves?
Right.
How do we ensure that we're using these powerful tools responsibly?
Those are big questions.
Yeah, are big questions.
And it feels like we're just beginning to...
We're just scratching the surface.
Yep.
To grapple with them.
But I think, while the future of open source AI is still being written,
right,
the choices that we make today as individuals, as societies, as a global community, they're going to have a profound impact on the story that unfolds.
So as we wrap up this deep dive into the open source AI revolution, what's kind of like the key takeaway you want our listeners to ponder?
Open source AI is a powerful tool.
Yeah.
I mean, it has the potential to reshape our world in countless ways.
Right.
But it's up to all of us.
Yeah. To ensure that this power is used ethically, responsibly, and for the benefit of humanity as a whole.
Okay.
The future of AI is not preordained.
Right.
It's a collaborative project that we're all shaping together.
That's a powerful message to end on. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive, everyone.
Absolutely.
We hope you've learned something new and that you'll continue to explore this fascinating and rapidly evolving field.
Yes.
Until next time.